this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller, the saucy sleuth. Dom dom!
I'm Melissa Meli, the spy.
Dom dom!
I was gonna say the pirate again. I'm not. It's Tyler Riley, Captain Ahab, or Captain Ahab as Tyler Riley. I don't remember which. We're the
Dom
same.
dom! You've become one and the same.
I forgot him and became him. It's been a
Yeah.
weird turn of events.
I mean, that's so often the case, I feel.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like you forget the person you were, you become them, and then you come back to them.
Huh.
You know?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a Patreon if you want it. Up on patreon.com/adcpod. We got bonus episodes, some clips, hanging out. We technically have a Discord. I don't know why I'm turning to David Tennant. We technically have a Discord that you can hop on.
Oh yeah, because I had to it took me far too long to figure out how to change my username because I was cop and a half for so long and we were
Oh.
so inactive that I just I changed my name.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot about our Discord. Okay. So that's a thing that exists.
Let me open it up right
There's
now.
also
boy.
a Facebook group if anybody remembers.
I do remember it because I see your post every time we drop a new app. Appreciated.
And Tyler does such a beautiful job updating those.
We all have our own channels. We do a good job when
So-
we do jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last post in the Discord, August
Great.
2022.
Good.
It's about nothing's more dramatic than a gun. It's basically complaining about Kenneth Branagh's relevant to this episode, Murder on the Orient Express, and his use of like Poirot shoots a gun.
Oh, did we use the Discord? Like I air quoted because
Yeah.
we meaning probably y'all and not me during that marathon day. Is that when the last
No,
time that was
we
used?
used twitch.com. The Discord,
Okay.
we were just we use it from, it seems to be March 2020 through August 2022. So if you want to hop on there and look at some old memes that I can scroll through real quick, I gotta give you those numbers, not by looking at post dates, just by scrolling. Truly, have you ever been to White, South Dakota? It's kind of like the Discord server that is White, South Dakota.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
allowed, but can
Ooh.
Honestly, Tyler, not a bad instinct.
Mm.
Anyway, there's other stuff there too on the Patreon. It's nice though, support your friends if you want.
Yes, and there also is an Instagram page. It
Yep.
is at ADC Pod, and we just deactivated our Twitter, I think.
Okay, so
No.
here's the quick thing about that
Great.
is I tried to, and I don't remember the password, so it won't let me do it. So I have to find the password and then do it.
I might have it stored. Okay.
Okay. By the time you
Great.
listen to this, we will no longer have a presence on X.com.
or will
Yay.
we? Mystery.
Ooh.
Ooh.
If it's still here by the time you hear this episode,
Hey.
leave a note in the comments.
Remind
let-
us because one of us forgot.
Yeah, I thought you said if we're still here. I was like, I don't know, Tyler, that seems grim. Ugh,
So, Murder on the Orient Express.
it happens.
Again.
Again.
So we've seen this episode one time. Then we've also watched the Kenneth Branagh one twice.
Yeah.
I've certainly
No,
watched
we've
it
seen
twice.
this now twice.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen this one twice, and then we've seen the Kenneth Branagh one. We haven't seen the Albert Finney version, have we?
We did when we
we
watched
did,
it for the
yeah.
live stream. Yeah.
I thought so. Ugh, it all
And
blends
we
together.
read the book.
We did read
Yeah.
the book.
Did
lis-
we do anything with the play?
Not the play, no.
Okay, I just did that separate on my own.
Yeah.
And then we also went to the bar in New York.
Yeah.
Yes, Orient
It's
Express bar
Yeah.
on
it's real
West
cute.
11th.
Yeah. I'll
Love
say
it.
this. For those of you who are listening to this episode, don't know what we're talking about, the live stream. In 2020, we did a fundraiser live stream where we did an audio commentary for all three of these Orient Expresses. And the files are somewhere, and I do think I need to send them to some people still, but I simply don't know where they've gone. They're in the ether. I don't know. Ether?
I hardly. But like, let's not sell ourselves short on that fundraiser. We raised 20,000 cents.
US cents. Strong cent. What's that? Oh, it's the US currency. Strong cent. Ugh.
Good,
Oh
good.
boy.
Yes. So this one that we're doing today is from Agatha Christie's Poirot. We are chronologically making our way through season 12, series 12, I should say, which has 4 episodes. So this is 3 of 4. And yeah, it is movie feature length, but not as
Yes.
long as the Branagh one. Thank goodness.
As someone who just finished watching it, let me look, as of the recording 20 minutes ago, boy, is it feature length.
Yeah, it's about 90.
Really up to the wire. I mean, I feel like maybe it's just the lateness of the hour, but I feel exhausted by the prospect of recounting this entire stupid movie that
Well,
we've
I took
seen twice.
extensive notes.
Okay,
As did I.
okay.
However, this is not Jennifer Lopez. I am not Mariah Carey. I do know her. We have been down this road so many times.
It is one of those things that was just so daunting. We've done it twice. And also, if you're listening to, I guess my feeling is this. And I think we should talk a bit about the plot, obviously, because there's a lot to talk about, like adaptations and changes made between the various versions of this. However, if you are listening to this podcast and you've not seen any version of Murder on the Orient Express, what are you doing? Why are you here? Also, don't start with this one. We're going to do a bad job explaining what, I mean, Melissa has great notes.
Okay,
don't get it
but
wrong.
like,
No. Melissa's going to do a great job. I'm going to interrupt a bunch and be an idiot, and that's going to ruin everything. You know that moment in Emperor's New Groove where Cusco stops the movie and it's just the circle? That's what I'm going to do for the next, like, hour and a half. Anyway. So it's just a daunting prospect by which I made exhausted.
By the way, I abbreviated my little header for this, and
Header.
it says Moto.
Moto.
Moto. So
Moto.
wanted to share. I forgot the
Moto?
characters. Moto, Murder on the Orient Express. Is that right? Murder on the Orient Express.
Moti.
Yeah.
Moto? Oh, Moto.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't imagining the E.
Without the O.
Like moat? Is that-
Mote? Hey guys, real quick, what are we doing here? Yes.
So we get some remarkable opening shots, really distressed buildings, a beautiful woman being stoned, Jessica Chastain looking beautiful and horrified.
Well, it opens up
Yes.
with his previous case, right, where he's confronting an army man.
Yep, an army
About
man.
an army man, an officer of the armed forces, and who then gets so worked up at the prospect of going to prison, he shoots himself in the head, which is like a terrible way to start any movie.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting. This whole movie, really upsetting. I like cried at a couple places. Maybe it's because I'm so tired, but yeah, it's a deeply upsetting film.
That does indeed happen. Poirot on the boat back to Istanbul is very pensive and upset. He's just he's not having a good day. He's not having a good
No.
day, as and none of us would. But then, yes.
Yeah, dude. If I saw that, I would be upset for, let me check my notes, the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking with the guy on the boat who is saying, like, oh, I really just don't see why his life had to be ruined. And by like one mistake, Poirot's like, well, he didn't have to do what he did. Uh, he didn't have to die by suicide, but yeah, so we're gonna debate morality and justice in this episode, just in case you're unfamiliar. That's going to be talked about a lot. Yes. So then what Tyler said. Yes, exactly.
And
Um,
then after that, Poirot is checking in and then probably checking out of that hotel
Hmm.
because he's been called back to London after receiving a message at the front desk.
Could you imagine Hercule Poirot and Dunstan checks in?
Actually, yes, like that fits
Wouldn't that be
for me. Like that.
so good? That would be so good. There's some sort of animal out and about in this, like, and he's trying to check.
Oh, is Poirot the villain in this?
Yeah, he would be. He would be like, he would be the Paul Rubens character.
Oh,
I feel
heel
like,
turn for Poirot. I'm kind of into it.
yeah. I saw that for the first time at the Roxy here in New York, with a Q&A with the director, and I'd
Oh,
never seen it.
not
Not
Dunstan?
Dunstan is sadly passed on.
Oh,
is this a monkey?
Yes, Dunstan
yeah.
is a monkey.
Okay. I
I'm so
haven't
sorry.
seen this
For an
one.
ape?
Well,
Ape or a
imagine
monkey?
he's an orangutan, so he's an ape. But imagine, if you will, a hotel, much like Sweet Life, Zach and Cody style, but an orangutan who is also a criminal, who's partnered with a criminal who uses his orangutan friend. Well, he's not really a friend. He's really quite cruel to Dunstan, who leaves and then tries to live in the hotel. And Jason Alexander plays the father to these two boys, and he's constantly like, I'm gonna lose my job!
Dunstan is the George Clooney character in Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm. Danny Ocean.
Okay. Great. Love it. Love it.
And then imagine, if you will, this movie you've just come up with in your own mind. Then
Yeah.
Hercule Poirot rocks up.
I do want to see that. That sounds awesome. But Touché, I think, probably would
Oh,
do
couldn't be anybody
the
else.
bang. It could not be anyone else.
Hello, Mr. Hollywood. Money's on the line.
Hello, Mr. Hollywood. Money's on. Is that Tyler,
Yeah.
did you make that up, or is that something you heard?
Heard from where?
I don't know. It was so funny. I'm like, that's such a funny thing to say. I'm going to try and start saying it out of this context. Whenever I hear a good idea.
Tristan wants to properly credit you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that was
yeah.
very funny. Ugh.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh goodness. Okay,
He
great. So
reacted
now
to my wordplay like that, which I think was far better.
Well,
well, uh,
maybe like word work, not wordplay.
Poirot notices a gentleman in the hotel lobby,
Oh, this guy.
who we can I just say we know who this man is.
Toby Jones
Yes.
is his name.
Oh, I'm talking about like who he is in the context of the story at this point.
Oh,
It's
sure. Yeah,
revealed later, but like we know.
yeah.
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 If you
okay. So
don't
he sees
immediately-
Ratchet in the hotel lobby,
Yeah.
and observes like him being Ratchet, being Ratchet in the hotel lobby, acting
Yeah,
real
exactly.
suspicious. Monsieur Book, an old friend of Poirot, spots him in the lobby.
Sorry. Again, I said I was going to interrupt a lot. I'm so sorry. But, like, I love that he does not remember this man. That's such a funnier, better choice than in the Branagh version where he's like, oh my God, you're here, finally, yay, we're together again. Where he's like, I've met so many people. I saw a man shoot his head off earlier. I am a bit distracted at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he does recall him finally. But yeah, so basically Poirot wants to go back to London tonight on the Orient Express. It's all booked, so book.
Uh,
Uh, the director of the train line is like, "Don't you worry about it. I can help you out. No problem."
More like Monsieur Overbooked.
It is.
it is.
And it
And
is.
I love this so much because Poirot keeps going, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I don't need to, I can go tomorrow. It's fine. You really don't need to do this. And Book is like, we met each other once. We're best friends. Most importantly, you're famous. And I own this railroad company and I want a famous person on my train.
It took me 2 watches to realize that this is only like the first class section. There's a whole other train full of people out in like the working class section of the train.
Yeah, Snowpiercer style. Yeah, for sure. So he gets forced onto this train. There's a bunch of people on the train. Goes chugga chugga choo choo through the.
Can we just name everybody at the like we get kind of introduced like more or less like one time in the episode, but unless I'm
Yeah.
mistaken, like nothing really major happens in these introductory moments because they're not like real full scenes either.
No.
So we have the Wikipedia up and um yeah, okay.
Well, there's.
Wow, I did not know that was gonna hit so hard.
It was funny.
Great.
Because I thought you were about to
Good.
like list the characters.
Yeah, it was very
You're like,
funny.
I am.
It was like it's great.
Yeah.
It was a
Good,
good
good,
bit.
good.
Well, there's
Okay.
the professor, there's Ginger, there's Mary Ann.
So we have Ratchet, who is played by Toby Jones, who is a really mean guy. There is Dr. Constantine, who is a Greek physician, an obstetrician, he says. Then we have Mrs. Caroline Hubbard, whose accent I loved. She is an American. Then there's Mary Debenham, who's played by Jessica Chastain, an English governess, and Colonel John. I can't pronounce his name.
Arbuthnot.
Sure. Yep.
Arbuthnot, yeah.
Arbuthnot. Yeah, that's probably it. And he is the man that we see with Mary in Istanbul during the
Mary.
stoning. And they're acting like they don't know each other when they're on the train, but we know they know each other. So there is preview for later. Princess Dragomirov, who's
Should be
amazing.
on RuPaul's Drag Race next season. That with that name.
Yes, love her. Then there's Hector McQueen, who is Ratchet's American secretary and translator. Then there's the Countess and her husband, as you might expect, the Count.
Blah.
I knew it was coming.
Antonio Foscarelli, which
Where's he from, I wonder?
that is exactly what my roommate said. Yes. Then there is Greta Olsen, who is a Swedish missionary. Then there's Hildegard Schmidt, who is Princess Dragomirov's German maid. And then I think that this is a character not appearing in this version of the
Oh, who is it?
Ratchet's English valet.
Are you talking about Lord Grantham?
Mm-hmm.
Which is Edward Masterman, I think, in
Yes.
this episode.
Yes. That.
But the
Oh, it
dude from
is-
Downton Abbey.
Who?
The
I have not
Downton.
seen that.
What?
No.
I feel like that's right up your alley.
My
Or
dad's
alley.
seen
Down.
it.
I was gonna say Downton Alley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Downton
that-
Alley McBeal.
It's not up my alley. Okay, I truly don't remember who this man is in this.
He-
Like, I cannot call him to
No, I
mind.
think he's also in the Paddingtons.
Okay.
He,
Oh.
to your credit, Melissa, has like 5 lines. One of them's really good,
It's like, but
Okay.
what 5 lines?
And it made me go, you know, which we'll get into. He's really good in it, but yeah, he's like a very much a supporting player in this one.
Okay, great.
Like he gives
And
eyes a lot in the
Yeah,
episode.
he's certainly
okay.
present.
Okay. Cool. I didn't clock him at all.
Cool, sick, dude.
In other words, you just wasted 3 minutes talking at me. I don't care about this man.
Sorry to
No,
this
no.
man.
Yeah, I'm sure he is great in Downton Abbey. It's on my list. My dad's loved it, by the way. If you're wondering, what do my dads like to watch? The answer is basically
That
Downton
that
Abbey, The Crown. And then there's the conductor, Pierre Michel, who is French. And then,
yes.
do we have a Cyrus Hardman in this one? Which sounds like a
Whoa.
made-up name.
Also
Do I
on,
ever?
I was gonna say also on RuPaul next season. If you can
I
believe
don't.
it.
But I don't believe so. If he is present, he's negligible in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so that is a character in the book. So,
Book.
in the
Yeah,
book, yes, indeed. Okay,
didn't
so
know that
that's
kind of episode.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
always that kind of episode.
That's fair.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Uh, there's also a dude, Mr. Harris, who has not checked in.
Yes. There is much to do. They're standing outside the train as everybody gets on the train, and Book is like, "Hey, we're gonna get Poirot on. It's gonna be amazing." And everyone's like, "Could you not? We are full." No. He's
We
a
hate him.
detective. Absolutely. Yeah, I would really rather he didn't. And then Mrs. Hubbard gets like really up in arms about it. He's like, "Mr. Harris is my friend." And he's going to be, it would be a scandal in America if he was treated this way. It's like, ma'am, he's late.
Yeah.
We got to leave. That is what happens. Poirot gets on, and I forget why, but he has to bunk with McQueen for the night.
Oh,
Um,
because somebody's getting off at the next stop, so he's gonna have his own compartment the next day. So it's just for one night.
mhm.
Okay. But do we ever meet the person who gets off the train? Okay.
Cyrus Hardman.
Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Um, sounds good. Okay, great. So he has to bunk with McQueen, which is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
So Foscarelli and Masterman also meet in their compartment. Oh, this is dumb.
Okay. What?
I just wrote Foscarelli prefers the top bunk. Wink. That's all my notes says.
Good, good.
I'm glad. Okay. Let's no. Let's explore the space. Did you ever have? No, Melissa, you were an only child, but did you ever go to sleepaway camp?
Oh yeah.
Did you prefer a top or a bottom bunk?
I liked top bunks actually when I was a kid. I like bottom bunks now.
Okay. And Tyler, have you ever had to be in a bunk bed?
Yeah.
And do you have a preference?
Uh, no, I think I was just always on top.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure because like it was like my cousin's bedroom and like I think like his bed was just the bottom one. So I
Oh,
was,
so the other one was just
like
spare.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
I actually had a loft bed when I was in middle school. It was part of the house when we were moving in, like the previous owners, when we were being shown around, were like, "Hey, we had this bed here. Like, if you want it, you can have it. That's cool." And I was like, "Sure." So I had like a setup underneath it, and then I had that, which is really interesting because I actually sleepwalked. And I would climb down from my loft bed and climb
That's
back up it while asleep.
so scary.
Yeah.
I
don't like that.
Nope.
Do you
Yeah,
ever
my
like
mom.
wake up like having fallen?
I don't remember this at all. My mom told me about it because she witnessed it happen. Like I apparently like went to the bathroom and then I went fully downstairs, also climbed back upstairs and then like went back into my room and like I slammed the door to my. She remembers it like she remembered it really clearly. But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think I do it anymore. I guess it was just when I was a kid a little bit, but yeah.
That's interesting. I had a loft bed as well for a long time, and it had a built-in desk underneath, which was really
Yeah.
nice. We had bunk beds a lot growing up, and I always wanted the top bunk. And then I rolled off it in my sleep one time, and I said, never again. And then
Yeah.
my mom was like, well, we got you this loft bed. And I was like, that seems fine. And I just don't know. I think I'm having a moment of clarity. I'm like, I think that's every part of my personality, actually, is, oh, I'm going to do this a second time, but somehow it's going to be different.
That does explain a lot.
Yeah. There's a little bit more of a guardrail this time, so maybe it'll be fine.
Mary, whatever that lady in Cabaret is. The one that sings Maybe This
Maybe.
Time.
Oh, sure.
That's Sally, isn't it?
Yeah, I just couldn't think of it.
Sally Bowells.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, so we've gotten on this train. We're bunking up with McQueen. We do get a lot of really beautiful sweeping train shots.
Yeah.
Like so many like
Some of them looked hella fake, though.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of, well, I mean, Europe's not real, so let's start there.
Okay, birds aren't real. Europe.
Birds aren't
Very-
real.
Don't you go. I'll fight you about birds. I will. But yeah, no, pigeons specifically aren't real.
You know the whole birds aren't real thing, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Are you
Okay,
kidding
great.
me? As someone who is so prone to government conspiracy, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I
great.
said, I think yesterday, I was like, but you know me, I do love government conspiracy. Not what's happening currently, but I like it conceptually.
As a thought, as an idea.
Yeah, as a notion. I love the X-Files. I hate Elon Musk.
ADC does not condone the thoughts and opinions of Tristan Miller.
I don't know.
All of a sudden, I'm going to be leaving like, my passport's not working.
He's
Oh,
leaving.
weird.
We're stuck here to deal with the consequences of his act.
Anyhow.
Yeah. So, Mary Debenham is in. I
Such a
keep
fun
wanting
name.
to put an H in there.
Debenham?
there's- Debenham. No, it's
Debenham.
just Debenham.
Debenham.
She gets kind of hit on by Ratchet, and it's gross.
Kind of. She's walking in the hallway. He puts his hand out to stop her, takes her hand, because she's paralyzed on the one side, and he goes, what, this doesn't wake, basically? You might as well.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean,
awful.
basically.
Gross,
Yeah.
gross interaction. And to Poirot's credit, he goes, hey, you good? That seemed like it sucked. I didn't do anything, personally. I stood over here. But, you okay?
It's one of the 4Ds.
What are the
then-
4Ds? They're distract, deny.
No, distract, disengage.
I think disengage.
Distract-
Distract's the only one I remember.
This is why I stopped at 4Ds, because I couldn't name all four.
Good.
Okay, well,
All right. Sounds like I need a refresher on
If
my.
you know all 4Ds, write them in the comments below.
4Ds of... Oh, there's so many. Is it accountability? Is it of negligence, of abnormal behavior, of 40S?
It's intervention training.
Yeah.
Okay. Something I've clearly never received.
I have, and I realize I need a refresher because I can't remember what they are.
Ready?
You got it.
Be direct or distract, delegate or delay.
Delegate. I like that one very much. They're all good. They're all good. They have their place. Distract is my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Hello.
If there's anything I can do, it's be a distraction.
Fair enough.
I know it's not what it means, but I do love the idea of delegate, like, you do something.
I mean, it's kind of what it means.
But it's more involved.
Yeah.
Just being like, you person, handle this while I walk away. It's more like, can you, let's figure something out. It's more team.
As opposed
Yes.
to delegating which member of your team should be doing the bothering.
Yes.
It's
We're
like,
not bothering, but,
whatever it is.
intervening.
Yes. So Poirot mentions to Jessica Chastain, Mary, that
Mer.
he saw her in Istanbul at the at the stoning, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Yeah, that was the worst thing ever." And Poirot's like, "Yes, it is very disturbing sometimes to witness justice," and she's like, "Oh, we're gonna call it justice, are we? I don't think that's justice."
Yeah.
And he's just really like being by the book this episode, and I mean he
Yeah.
usually
Book.
is, but it really is one that highlights the injustices in the justice systems sometimes.
Dum dum.
It's a thinker.
Do you like in that altercation? He's like, "Well, it wasn't pleasant to watch," and then she goes into the bathroom because the person coming out wants to talk to Poirot for a second. And then as she goes into the bathroom, he goes, "Well, I did not like it." Like he yells like, "It was unpleasant for me to see." Like he's trying to keep going.
Yeah, that happens like a couple of times in this episode where we hear like a little bit of like the scene previous, like bleeding into the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk more about in our reviews, but I enjoyed that. But
Yes.
also, like in the same moment where we get like Jessica Chastain in the bathroom, she has no lines in this moment, and like I am not exactly sure what they were going for in this moment because like it just looked like she had gas. Like
Maybe she did.
is she like distressed in this moment? Like is she sad? Like I don't know what they were. I was just like,
Yeah.
you look like you need to like sit on the toilet right now.
Murder on the Porcelain Express. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
And I like
Oh,
Jessica Chastain. I don't want anybody to get that misconstrued. It felt to me like a weird place where it's like, what is this? I don't know what I'm supposed to get from this.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about art, Tyler. It's up for interpretation, isn't it?
Because she had cast and like, why was that not brought back up?
We had to make sure to see that moment.
You know what?
Jessica
Fair.
Chastain
Maybe
is
like
people
this
too.
was written for television. There could have been a Tums commercial immediately following.
Yep,
Has
exactly.
this ever happened to you? Tum 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 tum.
Ratchet is trying to get information on all the people on the train, tries to bribe the conductor. Like he is paranoid. He's getting
What's so frustrating about this? He literally, there's a scene where he hands someone money and says, "Tell me everything about everybody on this train." And then it cuts. And I was like, wow, wouldn't this be a great way to get the lowdown on everyone on this train for me, the viewer, to understand the characters and their motivations? Oh, I guess we're just going to cut to the next scene. Whatever.
I
But
wonder
all
if
you
they
had to
did that.
do was wait 30 seconds.
That's true.
There,
You
yeah.
didn't do it the easy way.
So they
We're
go to
in the
breakfast.
dining car at this point, and we're getting the lowdown on each of these characters because Book sits down with Poirot, right?
Yes, and Dr. Constantine.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they're all Luke's basically gossiping about everyone on the train.
I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I hate this guy.
Book?
Yeah.
Or Constantine? Okay.
Book, I also don't much care for Constantine, but
Oh, I
Book
love Constantine.
in
I think he's
this,
so funny.
Not Constantinople.
No.
well, we were just in Istanbul. He's so just the worst kind of guy. He just makes me like, I was like, maybe he should be the murdered. Maybe they should have killed him as well. I hate this man. This man I hate.
He's really doing the most, and I like his character better in the Branagh version.
And I also in the book, in the whereas like this, they clearly
Yeah.
made a choice of like, oh, let's make this guy obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong choice. I think the actor does a fine job.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just- he does a fine job and makes me not really much care for him, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I got that feeling from him too. It was like, oh, this guy again.
Every time he
But-
shows up.
I actually think the doctor is very funny. So there's
Yeah,
that.
there's definitely a couple of funny moments in this show, which feel kind of like out of place. But yeah, I think the Doctor is.
There was a thing that pissed me off early in the
Ooh,
episode
yes.
Great.
where Hubbard, maybe it's in the scene because it's a long ass episode. So maybe,
It is.
but Hubbard like makes a remark like drachma, what's that other than a
Yeah,
way of clearing your
that's
throat?
this.
And I was like, get wrecked.
I made a note of that too. I'm like, that is a funny joke. It is bigoted. But I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, for sure.
No,
Bite
that's
my
right.
shiny metal ass. Eat
Oh,
my
Bender.
shorts.
That was a Bender reference, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Please.
I've been saying get bent, sit on it, and get real a lot lately. I'm trying to bring back happy days, I think.
Get real is I feel like that was very 90s.
I guess
Get
so, yeah.
real, man. Yeah, I feel like that feels.
Okay. I associate
Yeah.
it with the 70s. But
Okay.
yeah, I've been like, what is it? Get real. What are you doing? What is
Good.
this?
So Poirot at breakfast, we do get to see him ask for eggs. It's like, how do you
Oh,
want your
God.
eggs? He's like, the exact same size. And then
Which is correct.
they bring them in, and you can see him like measuring them, and he approves. He
It's
smiles
very
up at
good.
the. It's really cute.
So we get the skinny on everybody in this scene.
Ratchet basically goes up to Poirot and is like, "Hey, I'm hiring you to protect me."
I was
Like,
like, no, you're not.
yeah, he kind of lets him do his whole thing, and then he's like, "All right, you start right now." And Poirot says no. And he does not much care for that at all. And yeah, Ratchet's just the worst.
Truly.
Yeah.
And we
I
haven't
Uh,
even
think
gotten to the why, though we know the why.
it's so interesting as well. Like, I mean, here's the thing.
mhm.
One can't help but compare and contrast when there's this thing of so many having Johnny Depp play him. He's, despicable but kind of charming, but most importantly tall.
Mm,
And so he's kind of a scary guy. Whereas Toby Jones is a shorter man. To
mhm.
the point where it's like it's really interesting that this despicable guy is like 5'2", and he just has the
Yeah.
worst energy. And I feel like it informs the character so much. He's just so much more interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very much more obviously gross.
Yeah, and also like I don't know. It's just like it's just literally the height. It's just like interesting to see how like an actor's physical presence changed an interpretation of a character just inherently. Ditto also with like Branagh is too tall to be Poirot. He's like 6 foot and he's not round. It's like what are we doing anyway?
I
Everyone
didn't
in
hear you
Kenneth
saying
Branagh's stuff
this
is
much when John Malkovich played.
oh because I didn't see that. I said oh skip. I don't. I want to see someone good at acting play Poirot. Thank you.
It's very late at night. The train makes a stop, and it's very cold. Gosh, this
Yes.
just so much winter going on, snow everywhere. So the couple almost gets off the train, the Count and the Countess, and she says, "No, I want to stay." So they end up staying on the train. There's a couple little conversations.
The Count and the Countess. Do you know the glamour filter on TikTok? They look
Um,
like they've been yassified. Does that mean anything to the two of you, or am I so
okay.
brain rotted?
I don't know what that means. Maybe Melissa does.
I mean, I can kind of
I will send you a
gather.
meme, and then you will understand. But it just looks like they're so stupidly beautiful, and their makeup is done in such a way. It's just.
They are very pretty.
I'm gonna drop a yassified meme in the chat, I guess, is what I'm doing. Please continue.
Finally, Poirot gets his own compartment, and everyone's heading towards bed. Ratchet gets a note on his bed. He's been getting these threatening notes, and he's very displeased with all the people working for him. So much yelling. And then we get this like intercut scene of both Poirot and Ratchet praying.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I don't feel like we've ever seen Poirot do that before. He's got a rosary out and
Yeah.
he's really, really,
Yeah, if we have seen him, like it hasn't like been like certainly the tone is different.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's been at church before, certainly, but never, it's never been quite like this.
I think that has to go hand in hand with Suchet's own conversion to Christianity, I think. And he wanted to like add a little bit to it. Maybe I'm
Oh,
misconstruing. But yeah. Yeah, it's like it's always been kind of there. I think it's a little there in the books, but not really. I don't know. It's
okay.
interesting, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay.
So you're not
Yassifying.
yassify me for my sins, Daddy. But yeah, it is this interesting. I feel like the whole notion of this particular interpretation of Orient Express is like, well, how much can you forgive? How much is the law justice, and how much is the law just the law?
Exactly.
How low can you
Um,
go?
how low can you go?
How
Indeed.
law can you go?
Poirot hears a scream in the middle of the night, and he looks at his watch, sticks his head out the door.
Oh, so I just imagined it being intercut with the goofy scream that Yahoo in the
Like in
middle
your
of that.
mind, Tristan.
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
I mean, it's
And
fascinating.
let the record show I did not interrupt. I made a face. Melissa said what? I want to let the record show that. I did not. I said that's stupid. Keep it to yourself. But I did make a face, and that's on
And
me.
you were laughing, so we had to address it.
Oh, was
This
I
is an
audibly
audio
laughing?
media. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, there's a person playing rigatone music
Oh,
outside my.
okay.
Can
That's
you
what
hear
that
it?
is.
Reggaeton?
I can't
Like an
hear
Italian
reggaeton.
reggae?
Yeah, rigaton. You can't hear it? Okay, well, we'll keep
Great.
Yeah,
going on then.
I had no idea.
I just
But
hear a rumbling.
so we heard the scream, followed by some commotion in the corridor. You mentioned Poirot looks out, and I believe that's when he sees someone wearing a red kimono.
Eventually. That's probably when. The conductor asks Ratchet if he's all right, and there is a response in French.
Mm.
Zut alors.
Poirot lays back down. The train continues on, and then they get stuck in a snowdrift in Yugoslavia.
Who among us?
Man, what a crazy thing to think about. Like, just being completely taken out by a snowdrift. It's like, it might take
Yeah, dude.
9 days.
Yeah, it's hard out in Iowa.
Yeah,
I bet.
fair.
But yeah, well, I mean, also over the course of this episode, like it gets colder and colder because there's less fuel and like they can't get the way a train works is they can't get heat on it unless there's and it's just like awful to think about that as well.
Yeah, it
You know how
really.
cold people used to be all the time?
Oh my gosh. I was looking at when they were all standing outside and wearing their
Mm-hmm.
hats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their ears must be freezing.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
wearing wool coats.
Wool's good
But
though.
yes, it is. But I
Is
guess
it
that's the
enough?
warmest. Is it enough? Not for me. I need to be constantly walking around in a blanket, in like a down blanket if it's winter.
Mm,
I have a fur for that reason.
Amazing. Yes, Mrs. Hubbard is complaining because someone was standing over her in her compartment. It is now morning. What is he even doing? He's like setting stuff up on his table and he's like looking at a bunch of different things. And then Michelle, the conductor, comes in and is like, Poirot, you need to get out here right now. And he's
mm-hmm.
like, just give me a minute. And then he's like, no, 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 I'm so sorry. Right now.
Mm-hmm.
And brings him out. And he is taken to Ratchet's compartment. And there he lies. Ratchet,
No,
eyes open.
no, he told the truth.
Oh.
Ratchet lies.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. He is just full of stab wounds. Just
Oh, interesting. Can you be full of a hole? Because that's what a stab wound is. Because a hole is nothing. right? You see what I'm saying? How can you be full of nothing? Full of a hole? I can't be full of a hole. And yet
he is somehow.
he does. Tyler is not on board with this bit at all.
Because I was just thinking about it logically.
Yeah, is it, if I'm
Be
full of
full
holes,
of air.
Yeah.
but that's not
Yeah.
nothing.
Okay,
What is a
then
hole?
what's nothing?
Oh my God.
No thing. Absence. It's 10 o'clock. Melissa has walked away from her computer. But you do say I'll put them full of holes, won't you? Oh, interesting.
You do. You do it as I guess it's a figure of speech. Book wants Poirot to solve the case and not to involve the Yugoslavian police, who he says he does not approve of the Yugoslavian police. Oh boy.
The weird European beefs, or maybe they're not weird, but like,
Yeah.
I hadn't known about them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you've been around each other. You've been neighbors for that long. There's got to be something,
Gosh, I guess. Have you ever been on a train in Europe?
No.
I have.
Yeah, me too. It's
Quite nice.
Yeah, it is. I remember one ride where I was sleeping on the top bunk of a train car that I was sharing with my boyfriend at the time and two other random strangers. I was like, I would hate being in a room with strangers like Poirot had to be. And then I'm like, oh, I've done that. And I read a book because I couldn't sleep. And then the next morning I woke up and I was in Belgium. Anyway.
I was going to ask if you'd stayed in a hostel before.
See, that I have done.
I think we might have stayed in a hostel or two on that trip. I was in 9 different countries over 14 days.
Oh, fair.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. I was tagging along with this guy's trip that I had met a couple weeks before.
I think that's also,
I love it.
that's great.
I was 19. It was a crazy thing I did. I knew a close friend of his, so it wasn't like...
He was vetted.
He was vetted, which is how I prefer it. But yes. Anyway.
It's always, whenever anyone from Europe comes, specifically from Britain, which is now not Europe. So when anyone comes from the United Kingdom or Europe to America, they always go, oh, I understand why no one leaves this country. It's too fucking big. It takes forever to drive anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. Because if you talk to someone from England and they go, oh yeah, I'm from such and such. And then you go, oh, is that near London? They go, oh, absolutely not. And then you bring up a map and it takes 45 minutes to get to London from where they're from. And you're like, no, that's quite near, actually.
It takes me over an hour to get to Tyler's.
Exactly.
On a weekend, though, but it's so hard to get you out here on the week as well because like work happens.
No, it's okay. It's actually not that bad. The bus wasn't that bad.
The bus was not that
I'm just
bad.
it's better. Like it's still like long, but like it's not as long on a weekday because like the more frequency and like things being lined up a lot better. And there's also a second bus that's also closer to the apartment that doesn't run on the weekends.
I see. Okay. Well, that is helpful for sure. Tyler, how was your train experience in Europe?
Oh, yeah. It was quite lovely. I mean, it was only in Denmark. I was only using it in Denmark to get from Elsinore, where I was staying, to Copenhagen, and where Ragnarok Rock and Roll Museum. I don't remember the town that was located in, but we took the train out there.
Oh, cool. I haven't been there. Yeah, that one I missed. I have been on that same trip. I was in Copenhagen and did go to Elsinore as well, which was
fair
super
to go to
cool.
the Hamlet Castle.
Of course.
Is it Hamlet also a town?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a town with a castle in it?
What?
Are you being funny or are you really asking?
No.
Oh,
okay.
I am okay. Real quick. No, real quick. I am making a joke, but I am not being funny. Does that make sense?
Okay.
A dead goose was laid in front of you instead of a joke. That is on me. I apologize. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
No, yeah, no, sometimes I just honestly I'm like, do you not know what we're talking about, or is this
Well,
funny?
well,
Um,
that's always, as a comedian, that's the response you want. Um, but I assume there's like a castle there that's the original actual Prince Hamlet, who the play is vaguely based on, live there.
yes.
Okay, so I did know what you were talking about.
There you go.
So he's dead. That's
So
where
he's
we're
dead.
at.
That's where we're at.
Full of holes.
So everyone in first class are suspects. Basically there is just a list of clues. I really appreciate that they basically go through a list of clues and then the interviews. It really does help kind of break it up.
Okay,
At
I thought I
first
was
they're
dumb,
like,
so I'm glad that that's validated.
no, I mean, we can just kind of rattle them off. There are no marks in the snow, so the murderer couldn't have left through the window.
There's a pipe cleaner on the floor.
There we go. Ratchet's pocket watch was smashed at 12:40 a.m., which fits into their theory of when it happened, when the murder happened. The stab wounds, there are 12 stab wounds, and they vary in strength and handedness. It's like someone was like, "Eh, eh." This is an audio medium.
Now imagine, you know how Elmo moves.
It's particularly the tickle me up.
Yeah, that's precisely, that's more or less what Melissa was doing.
Good.
Murder on the Orient Express with Muppets would be good.
Oh my God, yes.
Now I have
Who
to
would be
watch
the
another murder.
No, it's not.
No,
It
I
would
know.
be so good. No,
would.
we would love it.
Who would
be the human?
would be Poirot? Would have to be the human person.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I disagree.
Yeah, I don't agree.
That's crazy. Who would you put as Poirot?
Hermit?
No, he's not the right temperament.
No, not quite.
Maybe Gonzo. Rolf would be funny.
Ralph would be
That would be very funny. So I'm given to understand that you may have killed a person.
I love Ralph.
Zoot Talor. He's
Or Sam the Eagle.
No,
Oh,
that actually
God.
would be good. But he'd be better as the British officer, I think.
Fair.
Rizzo the
I'm
Rat.
saying we got options.
Rizzo the Rat as the Italian.
Oh, Cassetti?
Yes,
Not Cassetti.
Not Cassetti. Foscarelli.
Foscarelli. But here's the thing. No, you were all right. What would be better would be the human to be Ratchet. So, only Muppets.
Yes.
10 minutes in.
Oh, okay. I was going to say the human has to be Mrs. Hubbard.
Oh, that also would be very good.
Oh yeah. Okay, we can have both because we don't want to see a Muppet
Or
stabbed.
Mrs. Hubbard is played by a human, but
Is revealed to
played
be
by a Muppet.
Yeah, to be Miss Piggy. Yeah, we get Jennifer Coolidge to play Mrs. Hubbard, and then when she takes off the wig, turns into Miss Piggy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Get Nicole Byer on the phone.
I think that would be very good. I don't think Kermit's right for Poirot though.
Okay, I
Is
gave
there
you
ever-
3 alternates.
Yeah, is there a French Muppet?
No.
I think the Swedish Chef should be definitely there
The doctor.
as the
Oh,
doctor.
wait, no, I'm sorry. Dr. Bunsen Honeydew is obviously the doctor.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry. I even suggested
Obviously.
anything else.
Is he a medical doctor?
Yes.
Then why is he playing with those chemicals?
No, he's not a medical doctor.
I'm sure this is done before, but I just imagine Beaker and Honeydew as the characters from Breaking Bad.
Oh man.
I'm sure that's already been memed. I'm sure I'm
Probably.
remembering something I've seen.
Probably. Oh, that's good.
Oh, Kermit
Yes.
would be Book. I'm sorry.
Kermit would be Book, yes.
I really want you to get on this train. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, being the host makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be a good Book too.
There's been a murder, oh no! I feel like Pepe would be so instrumental. I don't know.
Is Pepe not French?
Pepe the Prawn? He could be. Is Pepe French? I always thought he was like from uh, a South American country.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. He should be the woman obsessed with Jesus. I think.
Pepe the King Prawn is a Spanish accented Muppet prawn.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Oh, gosh. Muppets are fun, eh?
They are.
Okay, so he's dead.
Yes.
There's clues.
Yes.
Including
Oh, including.
a burnt piece of paper with a partially legible word, AZ, from the
AZ.
Greek word. Just kidding.
AZ Arms. Poirot does this trick where he's like, someone get me a hat box. And he takes like this colander looking thing out of the hat box.
Oh, right.
Which I guess is what they would use to keep the round shape of the hat. And he like goes through this whole thing where he like reburns the burnt piece of paper. It makes it basically light up, and that's where when it reveals the lettering AZ Arms.
AZ's arms. They getting tired over here.
You just flew in?
Yeah, huh, I tell ya.
There is a handkerchief with an H on it, and 2 different matches, the burned piece of paper, as we've already talked about. Oh, Ratchet also had his gun on him, and he didn't fight back.
Gun in his left hand. Must be a...
Again.
There you
Again.
go. Are those all the clues?
That's all I have.
That's all the ones I remember. Well, then, and later on, there's other stuff.
Great.
Other
Well,
clues.
is this
There's
when
like a
the
button.
recounting of what AZ Arms might mean? Or am I
Not-
getting ahead?
Just a little bit ahead because we start interviews first.
AZ Arms would be a great rap name. Like AZ, like Easy. Just
For a
AZ
single
Arms.
gun in my left hand.
There you go.
ADC, the album, coming soon.
Oh no.
Guess it's a solo project now.
I think it might have to be. So Michel talks about how his wife and daughter died a few years ago. And he talks about how when they stopped the train, McQueen and the Colonel got off the train and then got back on. He's talking about how he saw the woman in the red kimono. A bunch of people saw the woman in the red kimono. I won't keep saying it, but many folks did. Fraulein Schmidt also saw her. Everyone saw her. So it's revealed that Michel had requested to be transferred onto the Calais coach because his usual route was the Paris coach. So that's something. And then the next person, I didn't write down who it was. That was good.
If you describe what they say, maybe I'll remember.
Was it it might have been the Colonel. Was he in the employ of Ratchet? Because McQueen was his assistant, but
Or was this Hugh Bonneville's one of his 5 lines?
Yeah,
Is it
probably.
that moment?
The Masterson.
is that who that
Ratchet's
was?
valet. He states that he brought Ratchet the sleeping draft.
Yes. Yeah.
He brought him a sleeping draft the previous evening, but he did not see him again.
Oh, no, the guy who shared the compartment with Foscarelli.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, okay. Great. Yes. Cool. Yeah, I did not clock that was a different man from the Colonel, I think.
Okay, well, that's because you're bigoted against the British.
That's it. That's it. McQueen, who was like the translator for Ratchet, he thinks that Ratchet was on the run. There were the threatening notes, and they were bringing money to Calais to pay basically not a ransom, but like a blackmail.
Yeah. It should be noted that the reason McQueen is in his employ is because Ratchet can't speak French.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs a translator.
Because he's an ugly American.
Right.
With that accent, where else could he be from?
So Poirot finally realizes that the name Ratchet was an alias. And then he starts going into putting it together. AZ Arms is Daisy Armstrong. Poirot puts together that Ratchet was the kidnapper and murderer of Daisy, whose real name is Cassetti.
Which is, of course, Italian for small VHS. Stupid as
And if you
shit.
don't know what a VHS is, stop listening to this podcast if you're young.
It's very high school.
Yes. So, of course, this poor innocent little kid was kidnapped. The whole family is devastated. The whole town is devastated. This happened in Long Island 5 years ago.
And also, the child is murdered. It's not just a kidnap.
Right.
She does die, which is bad. But you can also tell no one's from New York because they all say in Long Island, not on Long Island.
So, yes, the wife, the mother of Daisy, miscarries her child and dies not long after. The father and the maid caretaker die by suicide. The father because he's so devastated, and the maid because she had been suspected. They do know that Cassetti did this, but everything was mishandled, and he was acquitted or even released. I don't know. Was it even tried?
No,
I think
there was a trial.
there was a trial. That's right, of course.
By fire.
If you can believe it, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, Mrs. Hubbard says that she saw the murderer. She talks about how he was standing over her in her compartment because her compartment is adjacent to Cassetti's. We can just call him Cassetti now. She wants to tell her part of the story. McQueen, when Poirot is revealing, because he does this out loud, he doesn't just internally be like, ah, yes.
Yeah,
I
he just going into his
realized Daisy
mind
Armstrong.
palace or whatever.
No. He's talking out loud about this. McQueen's like, I just want to say right now, my dad was the prosecutor because you're going to find out he was getting death threats. And I just want to put that right out there before you figure it out. So then Mrs. Hubbard is basically having the doctor do a reenactment of when she saw the man in her compartment. He's like lying down and she's standing over him. Poirot says something about like, are you sure? She's like, believe me, I know what it looks like when a man stands above me in my bedroom, if you know what I mean. and the doctor's like, yeah, I guess I know what you mean.
Yeah, I do think I take your meaning, yes.
Yeah.
Funny.
And so Poirot's like, why didn't you bolt the door between the compartments? And she says that she had. The doctor then finds a button in Mrs. Hubbard's compartment. And it is a button like the ones that are on conductor uniforms. And so then the doctor is like, I've got it all figured out. I know who did it. It was a man who boarded the train disguised as a conductor, and then he passed out through Mrs. Hubbard's compartment to escape, and then he left. And Poirot's like, okay, that's cool, but I think we've already discussed that because based on the variation in the stab wounds, there were at least 2 murderers, so maybe not.
I do like when the doctor is doing the medical exam. He's like, oh, crazy. Look at all these stab wounds. Must have been a frenzy. Poirot just goes, well, you're not a criminal doctor, are you? And he goes, no, I'm an obstetrician. He goes, okay, so it looks like it's like a real, like, you're a little too eager right now.
Yeah. Book is now convinced that it's the Italian mafia because the knife is the Italian way.
That's true.
Is the thing that he says.
Well, because he overheard those 2 ding-dongs, right?
Ding and dong, yeah. Tyler, I know what you mean, but I can't put it into words. Can you explain what you mean?
Oh, the 2 gentlemen that were in the corridor. I don't remember exactly when, but they were going off on like their own theory about like how it could be
Fossarelli.
Foscarelli.
And is that McQueen and the other person that works for Ratchet?
Might have been.
Okay.
But Book, I know, overhears, and then like this scene happens after that.
Gotcha. Yeah, see, I really just cannot remember the other man that worked for Ratchet at all. Just blocked everything that he did out. And then we talked to Miss...
Sorry, Melissa, you're Italian. Is that the Italian way?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
With my shit.
Miss Olsen is then being interviewed, and she says that So Poirot's now asking everybody, have you been to America? And they're all
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean,
Um,
sure. Who
who
hasn't been
hasn't?
to America? Yeah. And she says there are certain, she was witnessing in America. And then they start talking about religion. How long have you been religious? She says there are certain things that God can't forgive, Poirot says, like violence against children. She's like, yeah, like that.
Hmm.
Exactly like that.
Yeah. And this episode came out in what, 2013?
2010.
2010. And then in the same conversation, she goes on to say Catholics are wrong specifically because
Yeah.
there's stuff that you shouldn't be able to forgive. And he's like violence against children. And so there's like this implication there specifically around that time with that sentiment, I feel like.
I see. I see what you're saying.
Hmm.
And of course, Poirot's like deeply offended, but keeps it inside.
Hmm.
She found her religion about 5 years ago, which is also about when Daisy Armstrong died. Book also keeps calling the kimono a negligee.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is French.
Sure. Yeah.
Or should I
I love
say,
it.
come oh no? Like, why not?
I love it when I can hear Tristan have a thought.
Just out here living my life. I don't know why you put me on blast. I am. Uh, it's. I know you can hear it, but I'm not saying it, so I don't interrupt you.
So we're talking to Princess Dragomirov and her maid. They were in the compartment all night. Everyone was in their compartment all night. Everybody. Just everybody.
Because what else would you be doing on a train? Not much to do, is there?
No, yeah, especially in the middle of the night, sleeping. That's what you're doing.
That's for darn sure.
So Princess Dragomirov confesses, yes, she knew the Armstrongs. Sonia, the mother, was the daughter of the actress Linda Arden, which was indeed, it was a stage name, of course, but her real name was Waterstone. The princess is like, she's kind of fuzzy about what happened to Sonia's sister, so she doesn't really remember. Basically, everyone thinks it's great that Cassetti is dead.
Yeah.
She hints that justice, like, has finally been served, but which I mean kind of goes along with everybody else, but it seems like this case like has really reached far and wide.
I looked it up and I had some sort of memory that this was written right after the Lindbergh baby kidnapping.
Mm.
And it indeed was. She wrote it like 2 years, Christie wrote it 2 years after the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. So there is
Mm.
some of that element in this story.
Okay. That makes
Yeah, like
sense.
a famous family where child was kidnapped and killed. But yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That helps me with one of my major problems with this
Oh.
story. But also the princess goes, "Hey, I didn't know it was him, but if I did, I would have killed him.
Yeah.
He would have been." And she goes, "I would have killed him and put him in the trash, and that's the way how things were in my country when I grew up. So it would be fine." And Poirot is like, "Okay, well, okay."
Yeah, she's the best. I love her. Foscarelli tells Poirot that not all Italians are bad, but then he's like, but
Hmm.
if you did run across those mafia types, you really wouldn't want to cross them.
Is that a threat? Says
And he goes,
Book out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
and he goes, "It's not a threat. It's advice, is what it is." It's like the thickest New York fucking accent he's got on him.
And
Yeah.
then similar moment that I referenced before happens again. Like when Poirot goes into his next interview, you can hear Foscarelli still yelling, it wasn't a threat."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I forget who is next, though.
It's Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Fraulein
Ah,
Schmidt,
okay.
Schmidt.
Princess
Schmidts.
Dragomirov's handmaid. Is that
Hit,
what they call her? I don't know. Um,
Schmidt's hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Yugga gug.
exactly. Poirot shows her the handkerchief, and she's like, "Yeah, that's kind of her style, but it's not her initial because the handkerchief is an H, and her first name is Natalia, so it can't be her."
In this scene, I can't remember what he precisely asks, but she is so bad at lying. She
Oh,
is so
Yes,
bad
it's
at
about
lying, and it's so funny and so good and so relatable.
he questions her about being a good cook
hmm
because previously he had overheard her giving part of a recipe or cooking instruction to somebody and was very precise.
hmm
And she, he asked her about being a cook and if there's like ever been complaints with her work, I think. And then she
hmm
responds
hmm
like, "Oh no, everyone that I've ever cooked for like has, I've always gotten complimented on, my cooking." And then she immediately rectifies like, "Oh no, wait, I was her handmaid, I think was
Yeah.
Just
the
made, I think.
did she
Yeah,
just
just made.
okay.
But at one point, she literally goes, "Yes, no," which is so funny.
Yeah, it's great. Um, and then she talks about how she's sure that she saw a man in the kimono, not a woman. So,
Right? And this bit where he goes, "Okay, then tell me what the man looked like," and she goes, "Uh, uh, he was short and round and dark," and Poirot just goes, "She is describing me. She is so bad at lying." It's really good.
yeah.
Weird technical note: you can see Suchet's contacts in this scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just, yeah. I was like, huh, now I'm brought out of it. Thanks. You should have just been blind, David.
At this point we find out that the power has gone out and it's going to be -10 tonight. So they're all going to freeze to death. It's great.
Ugh.
Um,
Is that minus 10? That'd be minus
I,
10 centigrade, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so 20 degrees, 18 degrees
I
Fahrenheit.
I cannot do this one.
Okay.
I'm very bad at this one.
It's cold. So people
Yeah.
are, bundling up as best they can. It's
Yes,
also like we get a shot of Poirot in his compartment, right?
we do.
And there's
Yes.
snow on the inside of his compartment, which confused me.
Number one, Celsius, it'd be negative, it'd be 6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh,
Um,
cold.
Very cold. And then the window was cracked open.
Ah, okay.
And they couldn't shut it again, and so that's why. Also, I was like, well, that's a good way also to preserve a body for investigation later, keeping it
True.
cold.
Also,
It
might
is
as well just
also,
never open windows.
Mm.
yeah. It is wild though that they have, I mean, what else are they going to do? But they just leave Cassetti like where he is.
Eyes still open.
It's still open. Then the next interview is the Count and Countess. She doesn't speak any English. There's that.
So of course, Poirot, being who he is, starts speaking English loudly and slower than normal in the hopes that she'd somehow understand it then.
And she does.
By miracle. And this is what, and I cannot say this enough, what everyone should do when confronted with this.
But yes, the Count says he remembers the Armstrong murder. He has been to America because who hasn't? Another one of those. So then there's her name is smudged in her passport.
Normal.
And Poirot's like, hey, would you mind writing your name exactly as it is written in the passport? And she writes out Elena Wasserstein. He also shows her the handkerchief, and she says it is not hers. So then Debenham, why do I actually wrote the H in this one. Debenham, Mary.
Do, 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 do.
Debenham's like, why haven't you interviewed me? And Poirot was like, hey, so what's up with the fact that you're pretending that you don't know the colonel, but he's very clearly your boyfriend?
Yeah.
And he overheard their conversation in Istanbul where she's like, we can't cozy up to each other just yet. We've got to play it cool. And he's like, what's that all about? And he says, listen, I'm going through a divorce, and if I am ever seen with another woman, then she's
My
gonna
wife
sue
could
me.
sue. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got to keep it quiet. We move on. The colonel confesses that he knows the Armstrongs as well, and he's real glad, again, that Cassetti is dead, but he wishes that he'd been convicted by a jury. Poirot suddenly is like, okay, I know where this uniform is going to be. It's going to be in Fräulein Schmidt's compartment. He goes in there, finds it, and it is amongst a photo album with the Armstrongs.
Why bring that?
Yeah, right?
That's stupid.
No, like, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree about that, but I also see it as a way of like emotional manipulation if someone gets cold feet. Like,
Oh,
hey,
sure,
let's
yeah.
remember why we're here. Get your shit together.
True. And I mean, Poirot wasn't supposed to be there.
Isn't even
Hmm.
supposed to be here today. See,
So
that's why I think it should be a human to be Poirot, because they're not even supposed to be there.
So only Deborah Cox will I allow.
What if it's
amazing.
David?
What if it's,
David Suchet?
yes.
Deborah Cox. That's also very good. All right.
So then Miss Hubbard finds the knife amongst her things, and she brings it to Poirot. And by this point, Book has gotten one car kind of heated a little bit. And so they are all sitting in the same car. And everyone's like real quiet. The atmosphere is really subdued. Poirot
Like
is
the
still
death
really in his,
rattles of the peons freezing in the lower class train compartments.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
they're all dead. They're dead as dead can be. Dead, dead, dead.
We just
They're
never
eating their
talk about it.
bodies.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So Poirot is in his feelings and he says that he wants to save his conclusions for the police. But then people start asking him questions and he just can't stop himself. He's like, "All right, okay, sure. Why not?" There's two theories of the case. One is a guy got on at the stop in a conductor's uniform and pieced out after he did the murder. But the other, much more likely, is that it would happen this way, like in Clue. This is what really happened. Yeah. Poirot says it really would have all been perfect if they didn't get caught in the snowdrift, because then that first scenario would have been plausible. But as it stands, he says that there's 12 stab marks because 12 different people stabbed him. Some more timidly than others, some with their left hand, some with their right hand, but they are all connected to the Armstrongs. We find out that the Countess Wasserstein, also known as Waterstone, Sonia's sister, Daisy's aunt. And then the N in American English looks like the character H in Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So that handkerchief was actually belonging to Princess Dragomirov. And I believe she's the godmother, Daisy's
Mm-hmm.
godmother. Yeah. Then McQueen had already confessed his connection, whose father was being threatened. Fräulein Schmidt was the cook. Then there was the chauffeur and the boyfriend of the woman who accidentally let details about the house slip to Cassetti.
Who then killed herself
Yes,
because she
that's
would
right.
because blame was misattributed to her.
Right, that's right. That was the same person. Olson was the nursemaid. Debenham was the governess and had been paralyzed on one side of the body in the attack
Mm-hmm.
because she was there, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
when Daisy was taken. The colonel and I believe Michelle served with Armstrong in the army. Is that right? Because there's also the one that I
Masterson.
forgot. It was
Masterson served.
Masterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Where he gets again, the line that made me go, he goes, best kind of gentleman there was. And there's like a single tear forming in his eye. And you're just like, oh, fuck, this guy's good.
Yeah. I'm really sorry I don't remember this man at all.
Yeah.
Hubbard was, in fact, Linda Arden, Daisy's grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
the actress. Cassetti had been drugged, so he was awake, but he couldn't fight back. And then all 12 of them each stabbed once. The Count and the Countess were actually not involved in the murder.
They're just hanging out, being hot, doing their
Yeah,
own thing, trying to get
yeah,
away from some sort of political trouble, I think.
yeah. I mean, she's Daisy's aunt, but she
Mm-hmm.
just didn't participate in the murder. So then the birth for Mr. Harris never existed. It was just to make the train full so no outsiders would buy a ticket.
Yep.
And Poirot is mad.
They do this sequence as well when they're describing it, where you get to see everybody stab Toby Jones. And it's a really fun, like, really easy classic filmmaking effect where they have, like, a fake body and then, like, have the actor stick their little head through a fake neck. So Toby Jones is like acting only like neck up, kind of like when a woman gets sawed in half in a magician show.
Oh, is
Of
that what they
Tyler,
do?
yeah, the Tyler, that's not real. Just so you know, when you go and see a magic show, that doesn't actually happen.
No, like I know
Um,
that, but like I'm just rolling my eyes at you discrediting. He did his own stunts in this episode.
there it is. There's
But
the
that's
take.
not acknowledged.
But I was just thinking, there was some other film that I saw recently where they did that. You just have like a little fake body, and then your head gets poked out, and you just get stabbed. So like because it's also like he's like moving around because he's drugged, but he's not unconscious. So they have him like moving around, and it looks better than like a knife that like slides into itself, obviously on camera,
Oh, yeah.
because that would look terrible.
Also, the type of dagger that this was, like, definitely.
Dagger.
I'm
Yep.
thinking about Dragnet. What is wrong with me?
Poirot is just is headed up to here with these folks, taking matters into their own hands. He's like, this is how society falls apart when people just start willy-nilly doing murders to try to do justice.
Hmm.
And they're like, we would have loved it if the jury had convicted him, but they didn't. And this guy is the worst. None of us could live with it. So this is the scheme that we came up with.
Yeah, and Suchet does a really good job in this scene. He's just incredible. And just like you can tell that like it's not just like this is, you guys committed a crime. He's like, this is wrong in a way. And it's this really, I think something that's, maybe I'll save this for when we're just talking about the film in general, rather than stopping it here. I have an opinion about that.
Okay, great. So the colonel grabs a gun and he's like, all right, I guess we got to kill Poirot and Book.
Crazy.
Everyone else subdues him, and Mary talks to him and is like, listen, my darling, we cannot do what is wrong. If we start doing this, then we're just digging ourselves in this hole. We did this one murder to make things right. We can't do what is wrong. And the next morning, Poirot's pipes are froze. It's so cold.
How cold is it?
Everyone's nose is froze. Their toes are froze.
But what's that on the rooftop? Reindeer feet?
Mary takes Poirot some tea that was made by Princess Dragomirov on the stove. She's like, one thing you didn't solve is that money that we had told, because they were sending the notes, of course, the threatening notes, and one of them was the blackmail note, and he had the money, and they were going to take it for like Daisy's trust or whatever. And she's like, you didn't solve that part. And he's like, oh, it is actually, no, I didn't. But it does seem that odd that Princess Dragomirov gained so much weight overnight. And then you see a cut to them like taking the money and putting it in her dress.
And he goes, "Well, such installation would have been useful last night, no?" Which is like a nice little...
Yeah. And then they debate morality and justice again a little bit. And Mary's like, yeah, I felt like I needed this to feel complete. Poirot's like, and do you now feel complete? And she's like, oh, gosh, I guess I don't.
Well, give it a week. It just happened.
It's true. They give Poirot a good long time to contemplate what he's going to do when the police arrive with the snowplow. You really see the wheels turning in his head. And then they line up everyone outside when the police get there, all in a row. And he saunters through the crowd very deliberately, doesn't look at anybody. And he talks to the police, and we mostly don't hear it. He takes the conductor's uniform and he hands it over to the police. And we do hear him talk about the button that had fallen in the compartment. It sounds like he is going with the unknown assailant theory.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks away holding his rosary. And then he walks the rest of the way to London, I assume.
I like to say he went back from whence he came, because he was wincing like so much in that final scene, like in the camera.
He's trying not to cry. Can you imagine Poirot in snowshoes, though?
Like those tennis racket looking thing.
Yeah. Like him like walking home to London in little snowshoes.
And that's the end of the episode.
That is the end of the episode. We did it.
What did you think?
Tyler, why don't you go first?
I ask every time. But,
5.
thank you. Uh, I give it like a 3.75.
Hmm.
Probably mostly just because like I'm over it at this point. Like
What are you
we
over?
like I'm over like I know the story, like I like the story. I've seen this story many times.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We've seen this episode twice. We've seen the Kenneth Branagh thing at least twice. You read the play. We read the book.
We saw the Adventure Train episode on the Cartoon Network
Yeah.
Oh, right, yes.
and the Over the Hill episode.
King of the Hill.
Yep.
Over the Hill is the sequel where they go to retire. The retirement home.
Amazing.
Ah, dang it, Bobby, I
If
can't get
Kathy
my
and Jimmy
depends
is still
on.
in it, I'm all for it.
Hmm.
Great.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at as well. I mean, I think it's a 4. I think it's a great episode. I think it's really good. I think Suche is like on some next level stuff in this one specifically because it is like such a moral affront. It's just not he's not just like angry with these people. Because this is something I was thinking about because like in Kenneth Branagh's version, it feels like Poirot is so upset. It's like, how could you do this to me? You tried to pull a one on me. Poirot, the greatest detective in the world, and you have the audacity to do this. Whereas this one, Suchet's like, you tried to pull this over on God? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And that's so much deeper and more interesting and far more compelling in my mind. It's just incredible stuff, his performance. And I also think the shame of it is like I understand why Branagh started with Orient Express. It's the most well-known Poirot. It sold tickets easier, but it's so much better in my mind that Poirot is so old in this one. He's seen so much death, and it literally opens with him watching someone shoot himself in the head, and he's like, I just don't think I can do this anymore. This
Yeah.
is insane. The world is terrible and I hate it. And to layer that on top of these people trying to justify killing someone is like just, I don't know, it's really powerful stuff. I really enjoyed it, but it's not a pleasant watch at all in my mind. It's like the thing as I was watching the last shot of him walking away from all those people, it's like we're so far away from that, like, dude, like that intro, right? Like, there's no hint of the Poirot theme at all throughout.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we're just so far afield from like the camp of the early seasons, and it's just like so grim. This episode, it's made me sad. It just made me sad. I think it's a good episode, but it made me sad.
Yeah. No, that's really well said, Tristan. That really hits on a lot of good points, I think. Um,
Thanks.
I would give it about a 4.25. I think this is the best movie iteration that I've seen of this. I like this one the best. I vastly prefer it to the Branagh. Good acting. Also, I mean, I know we talked a little shit about the accents, but they're still doing a good job. I actually also like the screenplay and the directing as well. Yeah, just solid.
That's the other thing about the Branagh version is he finds any excuse to leave the train. Any
Oh yeah.
excuse at all. They're on scaffolding, they're having conversations outside, whereas all of this is so claustrophobic and just terrible and unpleasant and cold.
Isn't there a moment in the Branagh where they're literally on top of the train having a chase scene?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I understand, and I feel so grateful that that was my introduction to this character because
yeah.
that I wasn't so angry about it. I was like,
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
fun. I don't know, it's just so weird. I do think that the screenplay and the direction is good, and all the supporting characters are really strong. And like you were saying, we did give people a hard time, but it's hard to do an accent different than your
It
own.
is. It
It's
is.
like really hard. It's just impossible for some people. And the other thing is like Toby Jones' American accent is better than Kevin Costner's British accent, so it's fine. Like it's whatever.
For sure.
Don't come at
Okay.
us.
No, yeah, I would have done a bad job at a British accent in this probably. Also, it's a Also, we don't know how long they had to prepare. It's technically a TV show and not a
Also, it's
proper movie.
stylized, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, because, like, I don't know how good, conversely, I don't know how good David Suchet's Belgian accent is. I've never met someone from there. I've never heard that accent,
Fair.
you know? Anyway, we did it. But now we never have to think
Any
about it again.
any further thoughts?
No,
I motion to adjourn this meeting.
it's 11 o'clock.
Yes,
Is that a
someday.
second or?
I think so.
Yes.
Someday we'll record this at an hour where we're not like about to fall asleep.
No, we won't. Stop.
Number one, yes. Number two, the last time we watched this one, it was also so late at night.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
We did it again. Gavel sound.
Call,
Oh,
call this so close. Yes. Gavel sound. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Wait.
oh no! The sound of a train going by.
Chicka, chicka, chicka.